Well, I'm glad we're talking again, Andrew. It's interesting to me, our conversations we've been having lately about meaning. And I think meaning is such an important thing to future shaping. And I think there's a big aha that's also connected to meaning. And meaning is something that is, for many people, is missing. And let's talk some about that and what's going on and why meaning is so important to us all.
Yeah, I think there's almost a palpable feeling of there's a deficit of meaning in a lot of people's lives right now, and we had a lot of a lot of things in place, a lot more community and institutions that help support our cultivation of meaning, and a lot of that has changed in this modern era. And people are very hungry right now to kind of find new methods and ways of generating meaning in their life.
Yeah, and I think this is especially true because of the new technology that's coming in right now. It's a tsunami of information and data and AI and so many things that are coming at us right now that we're not sure where we stand in all this and what do we stand for in all this. And
yeah, there's a lot of analysis paralysis because we have all these options to choose from. I mean, you go into just even to watch a movie, you used to had to like see if there was a movie that you wanted to watch playing that night, but now you have a catalog of millions to go through. So we have all of this analysis paralysis because we have so many options, and we don't know which options are actually going to be really fruitful and really meaningful to us.
And meaningful is something that I'm really fascinated with because there's a terminology in Greek that's called phronesis, and what it basically means is practical wisdom. And we need a certain ability of practical wisdom and judgment to make sense of what is going on out there and to make sense of what is truly meaningful to us. And practical wisdom comes from experience. And it's not coming from the too fast, too glib, too convenient answers that we sometimes get from AI or other forms of information.
Yeah, our reward system is far too convenient.
Yeah, it's so easy to just say, we'll just Google it or put it on ChatGPT.
Hungry, put a burrito in the microwave.
Yeah.
Looking for something entertaining, just throw on Netflix, and so we find ourselves just at a click of a button, just our dopamine is being activated, and the reward system becomes too easy, but it also doesn't have any lasting power.
Yes. And we get that from the time we spend in it, the experience that we create for ourselves, and we feel that experience in what we're doing. There was a show that Oprah Winfrey did not too long ago on AI, and that was the topic, and they had the usual stuff about AI is wonderful and amazing and can do so many stuff, and the other side, which is, oh, it's terrifying and it's a little bit of doom scrolling, it's a little bit of, oh my God, what's happening to the human race, all this kind of stuff that's coming to us. But the thing that stood out for me in the whole thing was she had also an interview with a writer, a woman, an older woman who's had some experience being a very successful writer. And the thing that she talked about was she made a statement: writing is hard, and that's the point. That's the point of it. We have to have a certain amount of friction there to learn, to grow, to really find something meaningful in all this to us, and not just a quick answer.
Yeah, it's funny because I worked in innovation, right? And every brief, doesn't matter what the product was or what the service was, every brief started was remove any kind of friction for the customer.
Yeah.
Ease and price point were like up there, but like you just remove the friction, right? And the problem is that you're missing out on a learning opportunity. You're also missing out on one of like life's greatest sensations, which is triumph, right? Is that elation of I did it. I faced something either unknown or something difficult, and I came through, and I have a new understanding, a new feeling of completion, or a new way of being.
And what you just described is transformation, change.
Yeah.
And with anything that has real true meaning to you, there's always a change that comes in and through you.
Yeah.
When we just published our book, Future Shaping 15 Keys to Success, we had responses from CEOs from all over the world that received our book and wrote wonderful endorsements and so forth. But every one of them wanted to talk to us about the transformation experience they had and the meaning they got from the work we had done with them over the years. These are major corporations and iconic brands and all that. And it was those moments of shift, that moment of change, when there's an aha moment that goes, aha, I get this. This is really important. This is a big shift for me. And they remember those things. It's a felt experience, and you remember felt experiences.
Yeah. How do you have meaning without growth?
Yeah.
Right?
And
yeah, you can have understanding without growth, I guess.
Yeah.
You can learn something, academically speaking, right?
Yeah.
But how do you have any meaning without a moment of growth?
Yeah, and so that's part of it, and that growth is both triumphant, it's painful at times. You have a lot of bumps and lumps along the way as you start to learn how to do something really well, and you get the experience base of it. But the meaning that comes through for you is one that elevates you. It's a certain sense of joy. Sometimes people call it an ecstasy, even for a moment. There's a brief feeling of epiphany and euphoria even. And I think this is what people are hungry for. They're looking for it, and they don't just want the dopamine shot of entertainment and ha-ha, isn't that funny? Or isn't that, wow, look at that, Talk about the oh wow and what you're seeing there.
Oh yeah, I mean, so being in the world of design and art, right, and also for innovation too. But the first thing is often a lot of companies I find or campaigns, they're like, okay, we gotta attract the audience, we gotta attract them, and oh wow is attraction. And it's important, don't get me wrong, like you need, the messaging has to stand out, or the visual has to stand out. Right. Maybe it stands out for reasons that's like, I've never seen anything like this before in a beautiful way, or maybe it's an uncomfortable way, but you need that sense of attraction, and that's really important. But it seems like the primary goal for so long has been, how do we cut through the chatter? So with a lot of commoditization and the ease of use of everybody being able to do ChatGPT, they don't have to go to design school, they don't have to study graphic design. Anybody can make something right now. So to cut through the chatter has gotten really difficult. And there's a lot of derivatives out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people copying messaging or styles or so on and so forth. And the challenge is that if it doesn't lead to something meaningful, it doesn't actually lead to an experience, and it's something that where you can really say, this is now a part of my life and my being. You just attracted me. Its sex appeal only goes so far, right? Mm-hmm. And
the glitzy and the showmanship and all that is important at certain levels. But if it doesn't deliver on the next stage, which is aha, I get it, it resonates with me, it's important to me, it has significance to me. If it doesn't hit that part, it goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's just attraction for attraction's sake.
Right. And attraction is important, like in kicking off any relationship to a thing, a person, whatever. You need to say, wow, this is beautiful, this is something that looks good, or it looks interesting for me to investigate. But then you have to arrive at that point where it's like, I can see how this fits into my sense of purpose, or it's unlocking a new vision of purpose for myself.
Right. So therefore, I think our marketing, our advertising has to bring out more of that aha factor to really resonate with people over time. Otherwise, it's just a momentary entertainment or a momentary flash. And to do that, it has to have some degree of wisdom to it. It has to tap into something that is deeper and broader and more important to us than just, wow, this is cool. And I think much of our marketing today is missing that factor in a big way.
Well, they think a lot of marketing is really around scale. And so if we just keep pushing out sexy messages and sexy messages, and we just flood the market with these really beautiful shots of our products or our services or our endorsements or whatever, that people will love us, people will engage with us. And it's kind of a hollow experience, I think, and a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads to say, well, why isn't this amounting to deeper engagement and deeper relationships?
Right.
And it's because they're not actually providing more human experience.
Yes, and that's what we want to have in our life. We want to have that human experience. One teacher I met in the spiritual teaching realm said our job here on earth is to learn to become more fully human. And that means we need to tap into that human element. This is especially important with AI, which is a synthetic. It's artificial intelligence. And it's a synthetic as a result. And in fact, sometimes people are starting now with, which is a little worrisome for people, is with ChatGPT and other versions of that, they're starting to create a relationship with an avatar or an app and not with another person. Have you seen this as well?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the premise of the movie Her, right? With Joaquin Phoenix, and falls in love with his AI assistant, agent, whatever. And, starts off as having utilitarian purposes, like almost any tool, but then all of a sudden the tool becomes a relationship.
Yes.
And I think about it like with our iPhones in general, too, is that they've actually acquired a new level of meaning. They started out as novelty, utilitarian, right? Make a phone call, but all of a sudden now you can take pictures. But now your whole entire life is inside this thing.
Yes.
And it hinges on it too. It's your only way of to being connected to others. It's your identity is baked into this thing, like literally, like having like identity theft myself, like they got it through the phone.
And part of the addiction to it is it gives you answers quickly.
It does.
It's very efficient in that. It gives you answers. But in a way, that's not what we need in this life. What we need is better, deeper questions and the ability to explore. Let me give you an example. Years ago, before we had the iPhones and Google Maps and all that kind of stuff, we were vacationing in Jamaica. And we went up in the mountains, and of course we had no maps really in certain areas of the mountains of Jamaica. But we went out there because it would be fun to see what that world is like. And we went into a small village, and just as we came into the village, we ran over something and we had a flat tire. And we go, uh-oh, we may be in trouble here. I don't know how they're going to receive us coming in here. And we came into the village, and all the people in the village came out and surrounded us. And then they started helping us take the tire off and replacing the tire. And then we had drinks with them, and we had a great time. Well, we would never have discovered this experience, this thing that became meaningful to us, had we had a Google map that just took us from A to B directly and efficiently. We didn't get a chance to get lost.
Yeah.
And I think getting lost is important, and wandering is important to this. And that concerns me a little bit, that in our world of AI and our world of advertising and so forth, there's no getting lost.
The unknown, the strange, it's the premise for art in general is the mystery. You have to explore the mystery. You have to be open to explore the mystery. Let things kind of unfold in weird ways, and all of a sudden notice your hand is moving and painting in a way that your brain didn't really tell it to, and it unlocks a mystery, or an accident happens, or a new perception. And it's so fascinating how important being open to like, being lost and letting surprise happen, letting miracles happen is really what miracles happen in that liminal space,
Right.
between what you know and what you're trying to do.
And that meaning emanates, it comes out. Actually, one of the researchers in the scientific world was talking about that all that exists emanates from meaning.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, when you talked about innovation, if you go into the work of innovation, which you've done and I've done with clients and with our own work and so forth, is you find as you get into the innovation thing, it becomes a living, experimental, trial and error journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't pre-program everything to it. In fact, if you do, you're going to make it less effective, less innovative. It has to be something where you wander a bit, you get a little lost, you make mistakes, you learn from it, you recalibrate, you listen to the deeper meaning of wisdom that actually comes through you. It isn't just something you learned in school or from another job.
Yeah.
There's actually a messaging that comes in through you that guides you as you start to work on it. You and I are both artists and we both paint, and there's only X amount of the painting you actually get a chance to plan.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of that painting is just what's coming through you.
Yeah, for sure.
And innovation is the same way.
And I wish that more of the directive around innovation isn't around convenience or less friction in people's lives, but understanding that your product or your service that you're trying to develop is really a machine for exploring and generating meaning.
Yes.
So this iPhone, for example, right? In essence, it's really a machine to help me explore my own meaning, what's
Mm-hmm.
important to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it can reflect on my life, and it can also expose me maybe to new information. Now, of course, it can turn into dangerous territory of addiction and dopamine and whatever, but. In essence, it is a machine for meaning making. And so if we think about our innovations and our products and our services, like, is this just an improvement that makes life a little easier or a little more pretty? It decorates my home. Or actually, does this thing actually help assist meaning making in my life?
Yeah, a good example of that I just thought of is you and I were looking at a TED Talk recently of Roberto Vergante.
Yeah.
And in that TED Talk, he's talking about not tech stuff, but candles. And he said that, candles, they've been improved and they can last longer, or they can burn brighter, or they don't drip as much wax, or...
Still technologically, it's still about the same as it was thousands of years ago.
It's still a candle. However, right now, candles have taken off like crazy, and the growth spurt in candles is because it took on a new meaning. It was no longer an illumination device, and it never has been in some instances, but it's become something that's important to people's homes. It creates a coziness to it. It creates a warmth. It creates a certain level of ritual when you light the candles around a room. When guests come or something, it changes the ambiance of things. That gives a whole new meaning to what a candle is, and as a result, the candle industry has taken off. It
Right.
moved from utility to meaning.
It became a necessary ingredient for how do I soften my experience right now and make it inviting,
Yeah.
right? For friends to come over, to make people feel completely at ease and comfortable. For some reason, that little candle says, "Okay, this is a comfortable space. You are welcome here. This is kind,
Yeah.
right? And to yourself and to your friends and family. All of a sudden, somebody lights a candle in the middle of the centerpiece of a table at dinner, and it just adds to the intimacy of the conversation and connection to each other.
Yeah.
And so now it's become like, oh, if I want intimacy and I want that, I should have a candle. Now the candle is symbolic of that intimacy.
Right. And you can think about, in more prosaic terms, the world of products and shoes and so forth, you think about Nike and Nike's famous "Just Do It" ad. What was important about the "Just Do It" ad is it gave a meaning to why you're attaching to this particular offering of running shoes and so forth, because it gives you a place of getting out there and taking a hold of things, and the friction of learning and struggling and learning how to run. And I'm a tennis player, and you grow through that process of learning how to do things, and just the meaning is get out there and do this.
Right.
That's what they're basically
And
saying.
if their name literally is the god of victory, right, or the goddess of victory,
Right.
Nike, and Roman god of victory. And what is victory without any struggle?
There isn't a victory.
You know,
If you arm wrestle a 5-year-old, is that a victory?
like, are you really like want to celebrate that and need a trophy? No, yeah, and I think that's a really beautiful one, and that elation and that sense of triumph is a reward. It's fleeting, but it's one of those things that provides a lot of meaning in our life. When we said, I remember when I was afraid or I wasn't sure, and I got through a moment where I persevered and I pushed through, and I actually got through to some sort of other destination of being or experiencing. And
Yeah, I remember when you were about 7 years old, we were teaching you how to water ski.
oh, jeez.
Teaching you how to water ski, and you were struggling at the first.
Oh, I was first. It scared me to death for some reason. I wish I could remember exactly why or that feeling, but I remember it looked like my whole body wanted to shut down in just complete paralysis and fear. And the interesting thing was when I finally got out there and got up, and you guys pushed me, and I'm really grateful for that. I thought I thought it was almost abuse to try to get me on water skis. But once I finally got up, it was the opposite of paralysis. It was the highest form of freedom I had ever felt. The highest form of elation and euphoria that my body could even feel. My body had never experienced moving like that. My body had never moved so fast. Right.
I remember you. We said, okay, we got to go in, and you go, I don't want to.
Oh no, I really didn't, and that's important. And I think businesses can actually kind of do what you did as a parent, was help challenge me into experiencing and trying new things, and so that I can unlock a new meaning. Like I'm a strong person, or I can face my fears.
Yeah.
And that meaning, actually, with that experience that you helped create. Now, of course, I could have just refused, and then you just leave me in the water and pick me up an hour later or something. But but ultimately, you pushed me, and I just caved in, and I did it. That difficulty is such a key ingredient.
And I think we underestimate our audiences
We really do.
in our building our brands and building our businesses. We act like they're passive, non-living things that just, if we can just shove some information on them, they're going to convert and say, oh, I love your stuff. No, what they want to feel something, and they have something to contribute. There's a reciprocity there that goes on.
Like brands need to play the mentor, right, and the hero. So what you did in the water skiing thing is you played the mentor. You saw that it played out like The Hobbit. Like it was like I'm Frodo and you're Gandalf, and you're saying you should water ski. You can do this, and I'm like, no, I'm just a hobbit. I'm just a little boy, right? The refusal to the call, as they call it in the hero's journey, and but that's what any great relationship does, is it says, I see the strength within you.
Yes.
And says, let's try this, let's do this. I will help create the conditions. I will support you. I can't do it for you.
Right.
But within you is that genius, that lover, that hero, all of these things. And I think that we can be creating more of those aha experiences.
Yes.
As opposed to, I think, here's a pretty, go water skiing, here's a pretty shot of somebody water skiing.
Right.
Right?
Don't give people answers. Let them develop the questions. Let them develop the questions for themselves. It says, can I do this? Can I achieve? Can I really break through this? That's the question they're asking themselves, whether they articulate it or not. And that's what we need to give credit to our customers, to our audiences in the world of business. Give credit to them to say what they could do with something like this, rather than just simply, here's the answer to everything you want to know.
And relate to them on a human level too, right? Like a great mentor can say, I know it's scary, here's where I was scared, or I know it's difficult, this is how I experienced difficulty.
Yeah.
Right? And this is how I'm still experiencing difficulty. I still don't know everything.
That's right.
There's still a giant learning curve for me throughout this entire business, throughout this entire future that's unfolding in front of us. I'm tickled by all these experts that are emerging with any movement, actually. Whether it was even when the .com first exploded, right?
Right.
All of a sudden we had all these like tech experts popping up as consultants, right?
Yes, yes. Well, we did the same thing with digital communications and digital everything. Everything had to be converted to be digital. And so our marketing, advertising, everything all had to be digital. You got to be a digital expert and so forth. No, start out with being an expert on humans. It's the human experience that we're really talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think in our next video, we'll talk more about how does that happen? How do we make that something like that happen? We're just providing a little context right now, but it's important to understand this context and to understand that this is an important undertaking and that we can use this as a basis to serve the world better, because our job, as we've talked about so many times, is to create value and enrich life. Well, that's what they want too. Everybody wants that. They want to create some value and they want to enrich life through their being here on this planet. So show how what your role in whatever you're providing with them and for them in your products or services or whatever else, how they can create value and enrich life, not just what you're doing to them or for them.
Right. And I think there's just something we have to recognize is that our greatest achievements and satisfaction and well-being comes from how we've rolled up our sleeves, and sometimes did the uncomfortable thing, and how we created or had community involved in some way. This whole notion of do-it-yourself maverick is not helping anybody, I don't think.
Well, there's a countervailing force in life. There's always the action and reaction, and there's a yin and a yang to everything. And so as that happens, as AI becomes, for example, becomes more and more prevalent and is more dominant in the conversation, dialogue of today, the more that happens, the more people are seeking out I want to do it myself. I want to create something myself.
Oh, that aspect, yes.
Yes.
Because
we balance out it's doing it all for me. I don't have to make the effort. I don't have to learn how to write this. It'll write it for me. All that stuff that's doing it for me. As we do that, we're going to crave even more and more of what I can do in this life. So because it's what I do with and for life to create value and enrich life that makes meaning for me.
Yeah, but meaning only lives on if it's shared.
Yes.
And so that's the paradox of it, right? Like,
it's always in community and relationship, isn't it?
Right. I mean, you think about the innovation of Fryer, right? It was a utilitarian. It had the oh wow factor, I'm sure, when somebody built a fire and you'd never seen something like this, but you're like, wow. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, we can cook meat on this thing. Hey, it's warm. And then all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, while we're looking at this, we're having really great conversations for some reason, and stories,
yeah.
telling stories. And if that innovation wasn't meaningful, it would have stopped right then and there. But somebody, going from the oh wow to the aha, and then it turned into hey you. Somebody went to, walked around and said, you guys, I saw the coolest thing the other day. It's this thing called fire. It's amazing. It slices, it dices, it does everything. Your whole life is going to be like
changed.
Yeah, it's going to be totally changed. And so, yes, you have to do the hard work. Like even building a fire is not technically easy.
Right.
I mean, especially back, when you're rubbing sticks or stones and stuff. But it has to be shared, right? It has to. You have to be able to. But for each individual, though, I guarantee you, the way they hold fire in their mind is different. The story of it, the experience of it, and that's the interesting thing about meaning as well. Is that you also have to let go that you're not in control of the narrative of the meaning.
No, it's very subjective and personal. Meaning is very subjective and personal, and so it's what resonates for you may not resonate for somebody else. So you really have to understand the audience to a much deeper level to communicate meaning. That means you got to zoom out and see the patterns in culture and community and society, and then you need to zoom in and really say, what's that individual doing? And it's not the tracking data, let's say, comes from Meta or some other source like that, where they just track your behaviors. What they're doing is reinforcing your past behaviors. They're not helping you explore the next thing. And that's what's missing. And only will you explore the next thing if you see there's a possibility of new meaning in it for you.
Yeah.
So we're exploring this topic. It's a very important topic. Has lots of dimensions to it. And I have a feeling we're going to have several more discussions on this one, because this is a very big and important topic.
I know. The ideas are running right now. And I think there's probably a lot of question marks popping in people's minds. It's like, application. Everybody wants that. How do I apply?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
How do I plug it in? And how do I hit the button and it turns on and starts working for me? I think that the more we talk about, the more we explore the fact that it's not an automated experience, sadly.
No.
Meaning is not a click away. It doesn't happen a click away from the button.
If meaning is generated through the pattern that life has, it'll have bumps and ups and downs and joy and triumph and disappointment. It'll have all the aspects that life provides us. And if it doesn't, it probably won't be meaningful. So anyway, I think this is a good discussion. I think it's an important one that in future shaping that we all recognize and
necessary.
Yes.
I think there's a deep longing, a yearning. Some of it's painful, some of it is hopeful, right, for a lot of people to have more meaning in their lives.
That's good. Well, I think this has been a great conversation, and let's go do something meaningful.
Let's go do something meaningful.
Like do lunch.